Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my WWE All Talk video, and in this one, I'm going to be doing all of the WWE NXT UK 205 Live and regular NXT reviews for November, I believe it's 7th, 2018. I have to check the date on that. Yep, November 7th, and pretty much this review is going to be structured the same. I'll do NXT UK and then 205 Live and then NXT, since that's the order of which all of those aired, and I'll watch each one and then review each one. I mean, it's pretty standard, so not really much of an intro, but enjoy the video. Alright, so starting off with NXT UK for November 7th, 2018. And I'm just going to get right into the show. We had Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph on commentary for this show, and the show kicked off with Toni Storm versus Dakota Kai, and I thought this was a really good way to start off the show. I don't know why they didn't main event the show with this match, but that's just what I would have done, but I really didn't have an issue with the match that did main event. But if I was to pick between the matches on this show that shouldn't have main event, I would have main evented with this match. But I thought they had a really good match. They had hit some nice chain wrestling moves on each other. I did like how they were showing each other like a sign of respect by shaking hands, and then they both went for a high kick, and they both caught it at the same time and both put it down. I thought that was a nice touch. Toni Storm dominates the first half of the matchup. She gets Dakota Kai into like a version of an STF, but Dakota Kai gets to the ropes, and Toni Storm does leave like a little bit of extra pressure right before she has to break the hold, and then Toni Storm starts to make a comeback, and they both start going back and forth in the match. Toni Storm hits the haluva kick in the corner. Not Toni Storm, Dakota Kai does that. Um, Toni Storm hits a run-in double knees into the corner, and they both just really gave it all out to hit their maneuvers on each other. And eventually the finish comes when Toni Storm hits the Storm Zero for the win. And I just thought it was a really good match and probably the best NXT UK women's match we've had so far. We have only had like 3 of them, but still, it's still the best one. Afterwards, they shake hands in respect and raise each other's hands up. And um, Dakota Kai is walking up the ramp, and she gets attacked from behind by Ginny, um, and says that she's going to take over NXT UK. Well, the women's division, anyways. It was really weird that Toni Storm just kind of sat there and watched as Dakota Kai was being beat down, but that's whatever. Um, and Ginny, for someone that was supposed to be all about that fashion, didn't look very fashionable out there, so that's that. But overall, I liked this. I liked all of this, and obviously, this is probably going to set up a match between Ginny versus Dakota Kai, and probably Toni Storm versus Dakota Kai. Now, on this upcoming episode, which is going to be the next one of NXT UK, they did announced that Johnny Sand's going to be going to make some sort of special announcement, and I'm assuming because obviously these shows are taped, he's going to finally announce the unveiling of the NXT UK Women's Championship, which is about damn time because we've been waiting for that for a while. Because obviously we've known who's won the NXT UK Women's title. And they had to take that, and because that match was supposed to happen in Evolution, but they had to take that match off the show because the champion hadn't even been crowned yet. Actually, they didn't take it off the show. Actually, they put it on the dark match of the show, which is kind of sucks because if you've watched Evolution and you were there live, you pretty much already know who the NXT UK Women's Champion is. But whatever. I think that's why they're doing 2 episodes per week, because they're trying to catch up on the taped episodes that have already been taped, so that's that. But I still thought all of this was really well done. Then we had the next match. It was Amir Jordan versus Zack Gibson. I thought Amir Jordan looked better in this match because I remember when I saw him in the 2nd annual United Kingdom Championship tournament, he was very green. Now, that could also be the fact that he's in the ring with Zack Gibson, but that's that. This was pretty much an enhancement match here. Zack Gibson picks apart the arm of um, Amir Jordan, and Amir Jordan has his Hope Spot comeback, but then Zack Gibson torches the arm of Amir Jordan. He hits the Brain Buster into the Chantley Gates, and obviously Amir Jordan taps out, and Zack Gibson wins. And afterwards, he cuts a promo talking about how he's pretty much taken over the United Kingdom division, and says that all of the stars backstage are here to get the NXT UK brand moving, but nobody's on his level. And he mentions all these names and everything he's done. And who comes out? None other than Trent Seven, which I figured somebody was going to come out. I actually thought it was going to be Tyler Bate, and I hope we get that match um, sooner rather than later. But obviously, Trent Seven I was fine with. And Trent Seven makes fun of him, saying that, well, himself and other people were getting the UK division started. He was sitting at home watching it on the WWE Network. And he did make a big impact when he came to NXT UK, but you lost your NXT UK Championship match on night 2 of the United Kingdom Championship tournament. And he says that you have gotten people to take your shoes off. And he gets in the ring and tells Zack Gibson that if you want to prove that you're the best, step into the ring with me. And they tease like they're going to have a match right now, but Zack Gibson walks off. And I actually thought this was a hell of a segment. I thought Zack Gibson was great out there. I liked the match that he had. The match that he had wasn't a great match, but it was a fine match to showcase Zack Gibson. And I did like the promo segment that him and Trent Seven had. And I actually can't wait to see their match whenever it happens. I actually thought they were going to announce it on this show. But I'm assuming on the next episode, they'll announce it for the episode after, like the two episodes after that, we'll have Trent Seven versus Zack Gibson. And then Kenny Williams cuts a promo talking about how people have seen him before in 205 Live, but he's going to show people why they call him the Lucky or something like that. I thought it was a good promo. And then we had Kenny Williams versus Jordan Devlin. I actually thought this was probably the best match that Jordan Devlin's had. I thought he had a pretty good match. Jordan Devlin hits the fireman's carry into the moonsault splash, and Kenny Williams hit some really athletic moves in this match. He hit a really cool like elbow, like twist and elbow from the middle turnbuckle, which was cool. But eventually, Jordan Devlin cuts him off with that fireman's carry into the Michinoku driver for the win. They called it a finisher, but I'm still learning the name of the finishers because NXT UK has only been on the air for like a month, and it's going to take me some time to remember each and every guy's finisher. But Jordan Devlin won. I was pretty surprised. I thought Kenny Williams would have won his first match in NXT UK. I actually wanted him to win, so I was kind of disappointed that Jordan Devlin won. But I think Jordan Devlin's actually improved. He looked really good against Flash Morgan Webster in the second annual United Kingdom Championship tournament, and he looked really good last week. In his debut, and then he looked really good in this match. So I feels like when Jordan Devlin wrestles guys that are his size, he can have really good matches with them. So I think that's definitely something I've noticed. And then we had the main event. It was Mark Andrews, Ashton Smith, and Flash Morgan Webster versus Wolfgang and the Coffee Brothers. I thought it was a hell of a main event. Obviously, the faces took control early because that's how six-man tag team matches work. And then eventually the heels try to get the heat on Ashton Smith early. Wolfgang, no, actually, no, it was Joe Coffey, did like a double underhook swing into a butterfly suplex, which I thought was really cool. And then eventually the heels get the heat on Mark Andrews, and they beat him down for a while. But then eventually, I think it was Ashton Smith gets the hot tag. No, actually, it was Flash Morgan Webster gets the hot tag. And then he ends up tagging in Ashton Smith, and they do an assisted European uppercut. The Coffee Brothers do that, and I thought that was awesome. And then eventually the faces, Mark Andrews, actually no, Flash Morgan Webster and Ashton Smith. No, yeah, it was Mark Andrews as Ashton Smith hit a double suicide dive on everybody, and then Flash Morgan Webster hits a moonsault onto everybody, and he goes for the win, but Wolfgang kicks out, and then the heels take out Andrews and Ashton Smith, and um, Joe Coffey hits the discus clothesline after Wolfgang hits the spear onto Flash Morgan Webster for the win. Obviously, it made sense for Wolfgang and the Coffey brothers to win because they're the new stable in NXT UK, and they should win. So I was fine with that. And that was pretty much this episode of NXT UK. I actually thought it was a really good episode. I liked the Tony Storm Dakota Kai match. I liked Kenny Williams' debut. I liked Zack Gibson on the show and the setup for his future match with Trent Seven. And I liked the 6-man tag team main event. I was surprised we didn't have any video packages or anything like that on this show because they've had them for the past few weeks, but I guess they feel like they don't need to do that anymore. So, yeah, that's NXT UK, and now I'm going to watch 205 Live and have that review up shortly. Alright, so now on to 205 Live for the same date as NXT UK, November 7th, 2018. And we had Vic Joseph, Nigel McGuinness, and Percy Watson on commentary for this show. And the show opened up with one of those little intro videos that Drake Maverick does every week. I don't mention it every week, mainly because I don't really feel the need to, but this week I will because this ties in to Survivor Series. He did announce that at Survivor Series, Buddy Murphy will defend his WWE Cruiserweight Championship against Mustafa Ali. I'm pretty excited about that match. It does suck that match is going to be on the kickoff, but I am pretty excited to see Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali go at it, obviously, because they've had really good matches. I don't know if this match will be as good as, obviously, the past matches, because it's on a kickoff show at Survivor Series. They probably won't want the Cruiserweights holding back the main roster guys, which sucks, but I still think that would be a really damn good match for the Cruiserweight Championship. And then we had the first match on the show. It was TJP and Mike Kanellis with Maria Kanellis versus Kalisto and Lince Dorado. Kalisto and Lince Dorado do one of those little video promos talking about how TJP's disrespected their heritage and how they're in the UK. They could win a second pinata out there. I thought that bit was funny. And they talked about how not Buddy Murphy, sorry, how Mike Kanellis used Lince Dorado as like a stepping stone to get ahead in 205 Live. I thought they cut a decent promo. It wasn't as comedic and stuff as we've come to see from, the Lucha House Party promos, but I still thought it was good. And I thought this was a really good tag team match here. Obviously, Kalisto and Lince Dorado get the advantage early because if you've ever watched any tag team match ever in WWE, that's the formula for tag team matches. But then behind the referee's back, TJP takes off Lince Dorado's head with a clothesline, and the heels get the heat on Lince Dorado for a while, but then eventually he throws TJP out of the win and then hits a super kick on Mike Kanellis, and eventually gets the hot tag onto Kalisto. And while Kalisto is making his comeback onto TJP, Mike Kanellis makes a blind tag and pulls Kalisto out of the ring and throws him into the barricade. And then the heels get the heat on Kalisto. And then Lince Dorado gets the hot tag and he hits some really nice moves on TJP and Mike Kanellis, the Golden Rewind. I always like seeing that. And Kalisto and Lince Dorado hit double suicide dives on both guys on him. And Lince Dorado actually at one point hit two moonsaults from the second turnbuckle and then a moonsault from the top rope right onto TJP, which I thought looked cool. And then TJP gets Lince Dorado into the knee bow. And Kalisto tries to get in and break it up, but Mike Kanellis is holding him back. And then Kalisto fights off Kanellis so that way he can break up the submission. And then TJP tries to steal the win with a roll-up, but Lince Dorado kicks out. And then Lince Dorado tries to do the same thing. TJP kicks out. And TJP tries to whip at the mask of Lince Dorado. Eventually he gets it off. And he covers his face. TJP's bragging about the fact that he took off Lince Dorado's mask. But Kalisto tells him to turn around after he had hit a suicide dive onto, what's his face? Mike Kanellis. I can't seem to remember who Mike Kanellis is for some reason. And Kalisto reveals that the Lucha House Party outsmarted them because Lindsay Dorado was wearing a second mask underneath, and he catches TJP with a roll-up, and then that was the end of the match. And afterwards, Mike and TJP, Mike Kanellis, I should say, wanted Charlie to win and attack him, but Maria Kanellis says that she's got this, so maybe that's built into something. But I actually liked the finish of this match. I thought it was clever. It was the baby faces outspouting the heels, and I thought it was a really good tag team match. Plus, the Lucha House Party's on Raw, so it probably doesn't really make sense for him to come here and lose, so there's that. And then it shows a video of Cedric Alexander training at the Performance Center because he's trying to get his wins back, obviously because he's been on a slump since he's lost his Cruiserweight Championship. And Lio Rush arrives and insults Cedric Alexander, saying that he's pretty much going back to classes. He's training with the rookies, and if you want to get back in line for a Cruiserweight title match, you should have a marquee match with me. Cedric Alexander accepts, and he leaves, and I did like the jabs that he gave him, telling him not to, that you can't leave class early and not to miss his homework. I thought that was funny, and I like this. I actually like this feud between Lio Rush and Cedric Alexander, and I can't wait to see their match. And then Lio Rush squashed George Morley. He beat him with the final hour, and afterwards he cuts a promo on Cedric Alexander and says that he respects the fact that he's trying to get better, but he doesn't work harder than Lio Rush, and he said that he's not going to get his first win at the expense of Lio Rush. And he says that he's going to hit the final hour pretty much on Cedric Alexander. I like this. I thought it was really good. Then we had a video package for Mark Andrews showing who he is. Then we had a promo from Mustafa Ali talking about how he's had to wait for like 7 months to get a Cruiserweight title match, and he's had to wait so long, and he's not going to let this opportunity at Survivor Series slip him by. Thought it was a really good promo. Then we had the main event. It was Buddy Murphy versus Mark Andrews, and Buddy Murphy did one of those little video promos saying that he's going to use Mark Andrews as an example to what he's going to do to Mustafa Ali at Survivor Series. And I thought they had a really good match. They had some really nice chain holds on each other. Buddy Murphy continuously outpowered Mark Andrews, and Mark Andrews would use his quickness to get the advantage on Buddy Murphy. He had a really cool flip dive on the outside, and then he went for head scissors into the corner, but Buddy Murphy countered with a snake eyes right into the second turnbuckle, and Buddy Murphy dominated the match for a while, and then Mark Andrews had a reverse Frankensteiner, which is just a regular Frankensteiner, onto Buddy Murphy, and the way that Buddy Murphy landed looked brutal. And then he hits a suicide dive onto Buddy Murphy and attacks him, hits a flip dive off the steps, and hits a crossbody. Buddy Murphy kicks out. Buddy Murphy time in and time out, kept trying to go for Murphy's Law, but Mark Andrews kept countering it, and he actually went for a super kick while Mark Andrews was trapped. Head was trapped in the turnbuckle, but he was unable to get that. Buddy Murphy had a sit out power bomb, and Mark Andrews kicked out of that. And then eventually the finish comes when Mark Andrews hits the stun dog millionaire, whatever he calls it, and goes for the shooting star press. Buddy Murphy gets the knees up, hits Murphy's Law for the win, and that was the match. I thought it was a really good main event, and that was pretty much 205 Live from last week. I thought it was a really good show. I'll give it a solid B. I really liked it. The only thing I didn't like about this show was it was in the UK, and they usually, when they go to the UK, have a little bit more NXT UK representation, and I thought they should have done more than just having Mark Andrews have a match, so that's the only thing I was disappointed about this show, but other than that, I thought it was a really good show, and now that I've done 205 Live, some point tonight, or tomorrow, because I'll probably have that review up at like midnight, I will get my NXT portion of this review up. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have NXT for November 7th, 2018. And we had the same people that were on commentary for 205 Live on commentary for NXT. And we had the first match on the show. It was Heavy Machinery versus Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake with Jackson Wyckoff inside. And I actually thought this was a really good tag team match. The heels start off by getting the advantage on Tucker Knight, and then Otis Dozovic gets the hot tag. He hits a really cool double high cross body onto him. They do the spot where they do the slam on top of each other, and then the heels get the heat on Otis Dozovic for a little while, And then Tucker Knight got the hot tag. He started going off on everybody. And then I did like the superplex into the splash by Cutler and Blake. And eventually, I was actually pretty surprised about this, but Heavy Machinery got the win when Otis Dozovic hit a big slam. I believe it was on Steve Cutler, but I don't remember exactly. And I was actually surprised about this. I thought the Forgotten Sons, since they just debuted, would have, gotten the win. But I'm alright with the Heavy Machinery winning, mainly because Otis Dozovic was just in the win with the NXT champion. You can't just have him come off of that great performance and just have him lose. And this does show that there's all these types of tag teams coming for those NXT tag team titles, and I liked it. And it's not like Jackson Riker really did anything to interfere in the match, so it's not like it really hurts them. And I was alright with this. And they might turn this into a feud. And then they did an interview afterwards on the NXT post show talking about how they're going to celebrate with stakes and weights, and just Otis Dozovic is just being weird, being Otis Dozovic. I liked it. And then Candice LeRae gets interviewed. They try to get answers on what's going on with Johnny Gargano, but she won't give him any answers. She says that she wants to keep her and her husband's life private, which makes me think that she's possibly going to turn heel with Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver War Games 2, because I think that makes sense. Maybe she'll come out and help him win the match. But she calls out Nikki Cross because she's upset that Nikki Cross knew all this time that Johnny Gargano was the one that took out Aleister Black and said nothing and just laughed in her face last week. So she calls her out for a fight. So I'm confused by this because Nikki Cross just recently had a match on SmackDown. I'm going to guess that the match they're going to have either it was already taped before she debuted, or they're going to have a match on like the NXT after NXT TakeOver War Games 2, and that will be Nikki Cross's last match in NXT, and either Candice, and obviously Candice LeRae will win. And I'm going to guess that's probably the most likely thing, just because NXT TakeOver War Games 2 and Survivor Series are both in the same arena, and it's not and until this Raw versus SmackDown stuff dies down, there's really not a lot for Nikki Cross to do on SmackDown, so I think that makes sense. And then Shayna Baszler gets interviewed. She talks about winning the NXT Women's Championship, and Kathy Kelly, who was interviewing her, asked her what she's gonna do if Kairi Sane wants to invoke a rematch clause for the NXT Women's Championship, and Shayna Baszler's like, and Shayna Baszler gets upset because she continuously has to defeat Kairi Sane, and how many times does she have to defeat her to prove that Kairi Sane's meaningless? And then what happens is William Regal comes up, and she was also backstage with the other 4 horsewomen, the one that's married to Roderick Strong, and the other one. Once I hear the names and stuff, I'll remember them more. And he comes up and grants Kairi Sane her rematch at NXT TakeOver War Games 2, except this time it's going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match, which I obviously said was going to happen pretty much since the match was announced at Evolution, so I'm actually happy they did that. Then we have, so I like this segment. Then we had Dakota Kai versus Tainara Conti. Not a good match. Probably one of like the worst matches in NXT I've seen in a while. Tainara Conti is not good. I don't know why she signed, but whatever. Dakota Kai looked good. She ended up winning with the code red into the backstabber. So there's that. I don't really know what this meant, but just release Tainara Conti as soon as you can. She's been in the company like 2 years and hasn't improved. Then Mia Yim gets interviewed, and she talks about her experience of being in NXT. And Bianca Belair comes up and feels disrespected that she's undefeated in NXT, but yet hasn't received an NXT Women's Title match. So, Mia Yim pretty much challenges her to a match. They do the whole thing where they exchange each other's catchphrases. I thought it was good. I liked, I like the setup to the match, and I'm actually looking forward to this match next week. I kind of wish this was the match though that was going to be on, the dark match of NXT TakeOver War Games 2, but I'm imagining they're saving that match for Candice LeRae versus Nikki Cross. And then we had the video package for War Games, and it pretty much shows the feud between the War Raiders, Ricochet and Pete Dunne, and the Undisputed Era headed into War Games. They even showed, all the way back to when Undisputed Era won the first ever War Games, and they did promos and stuff, and I liked it. And then we had Johnny Gargano's exclusive interview. This was the first promo that Johnny Gargano's cut since he attacked Aleister Black. Oh, since he revealed that he attacked Aleister Black, and he cut it in the exact same location where he did attack Aleister Black. He says, "You recognize this path? This is the path that I took to attack Aleister Black." And I did like how NXT didn't try to come up with some sort of other reason. They just made it make sense, and it's been the reasons why everybody has been saying all along. Because since he attacked Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano knew that he had to be the one that finishes war with Tomaso Ciampa, and Aleister Black just happened to be in the way. And he thought that Aleister Black would have understood that, but Aleister Black continuously walks the road of whether or not, there's no good or evil in the world, and he even says that he's still the same Johnny Gargano. He's still fighting for what's right, but sometimes you got to be a little dirty in this business. And I like when he sits in the dark, and he sits in the exact same spot where Aleister Black was left laying. And he says, I'm gonna stay out here in the dark for a little while longer because I'm starting to like it. I thought it was just a really good promo, and I think I could dig the new heel Johnny Gargano. I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Like I said, what I think is gonna happen is at NXT Takeover War Games 2, I think that Johnny Gargano is gonna win the match via his wife turning heel, and they're gonna be a heel duo together. Now, obviously, I'm assuming at some point Johnny Gargano go back to being a face, and he'll face Tomaso Ciampa down the line, probably at NXT Takeover Brooklyn 5 for the NXT Championship, which I would like to see, and I hope they go in that direction. And then William Regal's backstage, and he announces that a match for next week is going to be a member of Undisputed Era versus a member of Ricochet I almost said Heavy Machinery, the War Raiders, and Pete Dunne's team, and whoever wins that match will get the man advantage in War Games. I like it. It makes sense. And if you would have asked me what match I want to see, I want to see Ricochet versus Roderick Strong, just because we haven't seen that match yet, and I think that'd be really good. I hope they go in that match. I mean, they could do Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish. I'd like to see that. Pete Dunne versus Adam Cole. Wouldn't mind seeing that. Because if you were to ask me which one, I mean, they could put one of the War Raiders in there, but I think it's going to be either Ricochet or Pete Dunne, since they're more the singles wrestlers, and then we're going to get a member of Undisputed Era. I don't think it's going to be Adam Cole. I think it's going to either be Ricochet versus Roderick Strong or Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish. Because obviously Bobby Fish, he has to get rid of some ring rust. This would, if he has a match with Pete Dunne, or he could have a match with Ricochet, that would help. And then we had the main event. It was the Velveteen Dream versus Lars Sullivan. I thought this was a really good main event. Velveteen Dream immediately goes right after Lars Sullivan. He beats the crap out of him, but Lars Sullivan uses his power to get the advantage. He hits a wicked spine buster right onto Lars Sullivan. Well, he didn't hit it on himself. Right onto Velveteen Dream, and then he goes for a power bomb. Velveteen Dream attacks him some more, throws him out of the ring, hits a wicked dive on the outside, and he throws him into the steps. And eventually, Lars Sullivan hits a back suplex right onto the apron, and Lars Sullivan dominates the Velveteen Dream. He throws him into the post. He got him into this nerve hole, but it nearly looked like the Velveteen Dream was going to pass out. The Velveteen Dream makes his comeback. He hits a crossbody, a wicked drop kick, and then he goes for the elbow drop. And he had a really cool Death Valley driver too onto Lars Sullivan. But when he goes for his elbow drop, Tomaso Ciampa runs out. He dives on Ciampa, and then Lars Sullivan uses a distraction to hit the freak accident onto the Velveteen Dream for the win. And I don't really mind the fact that even though the Velveteen Dream is facing Tomaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship, that he lost because he did lose with interference. And it does fit into the whole stipulation, not the stipulation, but the whole purpose of their feud, where Tomaso Ciampa feels like that that the Velveteen Dream is still in the spotlight, and obviously down the line they could use this to say the Lars Sullivan can be either added to the match and make it a triple threat, or whoever wins the match at NXT TakeOver War Games 2 has to face Lars Sullivan for the NXT Championship. I think it's going to be that one, and I would like to see that. And then afterwards, Tomaso Ciampa attacks the Velveteen Dream, and he goes for his inverted like facebuster thing that he used to win the championship. But the Velveteen Dream counters into a super kick, and he goes for the elbow drop, but referees come out and try to stop him. But then eventually the Velveteen Dream hits the elbow drop anyways, and he holds up the NXT Championship. And the crowd just lost it when he hold up the title. And I really wouldn't mind if they put the NXT Championship on the Velveteen Dream. I would love it. I think it would be awesome. And he's probably the best character in NXT right now, and I think he would be really cool. But that was NXT from last week. And I gotta say, I thought it was a really good show. I liked the opening tag team match. I liked the advancement of the Johnny Gargano Aleister Black feud. I liked the main event. The only thing I didn't like on this show was the women's match, which makes me sexist, obviously, because if you don't like a women's match, you're sexist, apparently. But yeah, that's NXT. If I had to rate this show, I thought it was really good. I'll give it just a solid B. I think it would have been a B plus if we had like another really good match. If we had like a different really good women's match. If we had probably Mia Yim versus Bianca Belair on this show instead of Tainara Conte and Dakota Kai, I probably would have given this a B plus easily. But because of that match, it made it just a solid B. But that's pretty much my review of NXT. And that's pretty much the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell. So that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you guys do the same thing for my CM Brothers and all the Talkinator channels. And that's from Richard, guys. Talk to you later.